What's up, everybody?
I appreciate this.
Welcome to Granny's Peachy, episode 179. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday evening. Yes, this Wednesday evening on the Thanksgiving Eve of 2024. Thank you for joining us as always. If you're joining us on the Facebook live stream, if you're joining us on YouTube or wherever you found your audio and podcast, we always appreciate the support. Yes. Inagata Davida is our opening song. The second time we've used it on this show. Jason will know why that I've decided to squeeze this in. This is definitely for him because we also do another show called DCT Deep Dive, and that could have been the song. Slightly opted not to, so why not use it tonight? Because there's no music in this in the stuff we're covering this week. So
I appreciate this, and this is part of one of my favorite Simpsons episodes of all time, which I made you guys watch for PCP Deep Dive, where they play it in church, and you see that church organ lady like go collapsing. Perfect.
So thanks for joining us. We got some stuff to get into this week, not like a super jam-packed, giant-sized annual episode, but interesting stuff to talk about. We'll be talking about episode 9 of Superman Lois, season 4, and as we get close to wrapping that up, because the series finale is next week, we also are wrapping up our Fox X-Men movies with the final released one, The New Mutants, which is a movie that apparently a lot of people did not see based on the box office and just conversations. So, and it came out during COVID.
I didn't even know this movie existed.
It came out in a weird time like this. We'll talk more about it in detail, and we also will be ranking the Fox X-Men movies because that's what we do when we're wrapping up a kind of a run of our own. So that should be a fun conversation at the end. Jason, what's up, dude? What's going on?
How's it going? Good to be here. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I'm hoping you've snared your turkey. I hope you did your craven duty. You hunted that turkey, and then you brought it home and you're about to eat it to gain its essence. That's what Craven did. It was in the comic. That's canon. But yeah, happy Thanksgiving. I'm going to give a little cheers, a little blessing. My grandfather used to give at Thanksgiving. He used to go, hi, shut the fuck up, football's on. So, cheers, Grandpa, we miss you. But yeah, so happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I'm excited for the show tonight. We get a proper doomsday. We get New Mutants, which, again, I've never seen this movie. I'm not surprised to hear it came out around the pandemic because I don't have any memory of the pandemic because that was one long stay in limbo.
Is there, and I'm going to kind of inadvertently cross over again. And it's funny because I feel like this keeps happening now lately.
When you do two podcasts together.
Yeah, I guess, right? And they're only a couple of days apart sometimes.
Yeah.
So is there any chance that perhaps Freddy Krueger erased your memory of this movie?
Maybe he did. Maybe he came in because I was sleeping a lot during the pandemic, and he was like, I'm going to take the memory of the newest X-Men movie, bitch. That happens. It's canon.
You just got to throw the bitch in there, of course.
I don't have a Freddy impression unless it ends with bitch. That's it. That's what makes it Freddy for me.
I'm gonna be honest. I used to do a pretty good one, and I think I need to try to regain that for our next episode.
Oh, nice.
It was a pretty good one. Like the laugh, I was always able to do, and I used to like mess around with people on the phone with it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like that was
prank
good.
calling.
Yeah, exactly. But but it would always be like somebody who kind of knew, and they'd be like, "Oh, that was pretty good. All right, you got me for a second," stuff like that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I gotta see if I can. I gotta rework that though. But
yeah, I'm hoping. I'm excited.
And our movie tonight apparently was the part of the inspiration was A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. Exactly.
Okay. All right.
Exactly. That I had the same exact response you just had right there. You can kind
Yeah,
of
it
see
took
when
me
you
a
think
second to
about
get
it.
there, but yeah, kids with special powers trapped in an institution fighting an overarching evil. Yeah, I could see it. I could see it.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. So I thought that was pretty cool, and
You know,
it was a
and the fact that
fun
Magic
reason.
has a heroin addiction in this, I think that goes even farther to making it more like no, I don't know.
Yeah, right. um, yeah, that would have been quite a thing. That would have been quite a coincidence.
Oh, and actually, yeah, that's a good point because the one of the girls brings your worst fears to life in that. Yeah, I can absolutely, now that you say it, I can absolutely see the Freddy Krueger Dream Warrior influence on that movie.
Yeah, and I guess Sunspot would be Joey.
Yeah, okay,
In a way, right? In a weird way, in a little connection, but yeah.
Right. Who would be Kincaid? Oh, I guess that's Cannonball.
Yeah, I guess Kincaid would be Cannonball.
Yeah.
Magic would be, like you said, Taryn. I guess, right?
Yeah, that's Taryn. Yeah, she would absolutely be Taryn. And who would be? I guess the
would
main
be
girl
Kristen?
would be. Yeah, as I was going to say,
Yeah.
Moonstar would be Patricia Arquette, Kristen.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I like it. I'm loving the crossover.
Yeah,
Where's Ginny? Let's get Ginny up. Let's call Ginny up.
Yeah, tell her, listen, did you see New Mutants? She probably did. Come on, she probably owns it.
New Mutants is probably her favorite Fox movie, and she could give you a very intelligent dissertation on why it's her favorite, because that's what she does.
No, she absolutely does. No, she will. And there's been plenty of times if you watch that show, like there's times where I'm kind of like taking a dump on a movie, and then she's like just pushing it right back and just say, but I'm not disagreeing with a lot of the stuff you said, but this is what it is.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, that's funny.
All right, well, let's get into it, shall we?
Right.
Let's jump into it. Superman Lois, Season 4, Episode 9 is where we're at. As we said, this is the second last episode of the Superman Lois season, the show, and the second to last episode of the Arrowverse.
Wow, yeah.
As a whole.
I mean, we are saying goodbye to an old friend of the show, the Arrowverse, after this. I can't believe it's only one episode left. I thought we had a couple more, but it makes sense. Just one. But
yeah, it's the abbreviated season.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I'm sad to see this go. I really am.
Yeah, me too. I will say though, it just this may. I mean, we'll see what happens next week, but I'm kind of thinking this is the best season that they've done, and that's not knocking any of the other ones. I think so.
I agree. It's been tight. It's been good. It's well plotted, well thought out. I mean, this Lex Luthor is both chilling and not cartoonish.
Yeah.
And especially like you see it in this episode. Like I love also flawed, and his flaws are part of how they're going to get to him. Which we'll talk more in detail, but you know what I'm talking about there. And just the fact that, I'm sorry, they gave us a better Doomsday than Zack Snyder did. I know people jerk off to Zack Snyder's work. I get it. They think he's the best thing since sliced bread when it comes to this. But this Doomsday looks a hell of a lot better than the Doomsday we got in Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, Welcome Wonder Woman. And this is a television show. And the fact that it's bringing it so, like, effects wise, script wise, story wise, like it's gonna have to severely fuck up next episode to not stick the landing on this season.
Yeah, it would totally have to take a complete shit on itself.
It would have to be. Yeah, it would have to be like the most incompetent thing it's ever put out, because I think in 4 seasons I've only said I didn't like one episode.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And actually, I enjoyed the episode more than you did. So
You did, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's been a pretty solid, like, tight run, like you had said. But with this episode though, so the beginning of the episode, we kind of see the boys are feeling the celebrity of what is going on right now, because like the world knows that Superman is Clark Kent is Superman, so they know the boys are powered and everything like that. Everything's out in the open here, so they go to this diner that comes back later on, but they also find out there's like Superman T-shirts and some memorabilia being sold there, and they have their own items on the menu. So Jordan has some curly fries. Not thrilled they're on the kids menu. And then you have Jonathan, who has this French dip.
Yeah.
Both of these things are speaking my language, because I would totally order that shit.
Oh, I would take those curly fries and put it in that French dip.
Oh, absolutely.
You know? Yeah. Oh, that'd be some good stuff. Huh? I love when they order the food, and when you see the curly fries, it's in like a bowl that has his face and it looks like it's his hair.
It's great. It's so great.
It's so funny.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty damn funny that when we got that. So they're dealing with that celebrity, and then we get a scene where Superman is just kind of like, "Listen, I need to go address Lex Luthor, because after when the boys go and talk to Lois and Clark, they're having a conversation, and the boys are kind of like, listen, we got to change these tactics up. Maybe we should go after them. You know, like maybe we should go front and center." And Lois is mentioning how Lex is getting into their head. Like, this is what he does. This is his game. And they decide to maybe flip the script. So that's where Superman goes straight to Lex Luthor's office, flies in that window, and Jason, they have a pretty intense showdown right there. And there's no punches thrown this time or anything like that, but the intensity of that is crazy.
Yeah, because you got two really good actors like acting the shit out of their roles together. And just the way that starts off, because that starts off with like one of Luthor's lackeys like, "Well, sir, I don't know if this is a good idea. Are you questioning me?" Mm-hmm. This actor, by the way, I can't even with him. He's so good. I can't believe it's the same guy from The Walking Dead. Like, I know it's the same guy, but like he's so different. His acting is so good. But anyway, and then Superman comes in and he's like, "Get out of here." Like, and then they just face off, and he's like, "Dude, have you come to appeal to me as a father again?" Oh man, it's such a good scene.
Yeah, he like totally mocks him and stuff. And you're right. As soon as he sees him, it's kind of like, all right, the adults are in the room.
Yep.
Get out.
Yeah.
And they have this heated conversation, and Superman literally does turn it on his head, because he starts using like the questioning of when people question Lex is when he gets infuriated, and he plants the seed in his mind that Amanda. He's like, "Oh well, you know, Amanda is the one. That's her plan, right? Like this suit, little get up you got going on, nice tie, Lex. Like, you know, he really starts digging at him there, and you can tell that it's jogging his memory to the point. I mean, in his mind." To the end of the conversation, he rips the fucking tie off and he like slams it. Like he got to him.
It's such a good scene, because we've seen Superman fuck him up physically. We know he can do it, right? He's Superman. He's a god. And again, I'm gonna say this up until
even without the powers, though.
But even without the powers, he could beat the shit out of him. But like that, but we know, like, all right, Superman is a god. Superman can pretty much, you know, there's not much that can touch him. And again, the show is real smart, because the show is like, you know what? We're not going to show you him fighting his way through. He can't fight his way through this. What's he going to do? Kill Lex Luthor? No, we can't do that. We're going to show how smart Superman is and how well he knows his adversary, because he goes and, you're right, he plants that shit purposefully, and it works because he takes that tie off, and later on, he pretty much cuts ties and alienates Alice? Amanda. I knew it was an A thing, an A word. He alienates her, and you could, Lois also works her, and you could tell that they planned this, right? Like, they never tell you they planned it, but they're such a good team throughout this series that you know that was the plan. Like, all right, I'll go plant the thing in Lex, you plant the thing in Amanda, we'll turn them against each other. Like, you know that conversation happened behind the scenes.
Yeah, for sure. And this whole episode is a lot of Superman and I mean Clark and Lois basically playing chess, like
Mhm.
this mind chess game that's going on here. And Lex is the one who kind of like ups it to physicality,
Yes.
right? Which normally you wouldn't expect if laying out who everyone is. Um, so the after that during that conversation though, Lex threatens him, Lois again, and his family. Everyone.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to go after every single thing you've ever loved. And that threat is taken extremely seriously. So even though Superman like accomplishes his mission, but he does go back to Lois and they're like, listen, he's done this. He's threatened everybody here. So we got to get the boys too. And I'm glad he didn't say it, because if this was the Flash, he absolutely would have said level up.
Oh, yeah, if this were the Flash in the later seasons, yes, you would have said they would have said level up 7 times. There would have been flirtations that we don't give a shit about. All the characters we like except for Barry would be gone.
Yeah, it'd be a disaster. So then he decides he's got to start training the boys. He takes them to the Fortress of Solitude. They go through this training exercise and they train versus the Lexo suit, what's becoming the Lexo suit now, because it's John Henry Irons when he first arrived, and the boys are not really holding their own with it. Like they're, because Clark has admitted he's not quite what he used to be, and he's trying to train the boys to make a team because he's acknowledging he needs help here.
And Clark said, like, the Lexo suit on my strong day gave me a problem.
Yep.
And they said, but we didn't know that. It's like, I didn't tell you. Like, of course I didn't tell you that. But
No.
I love that. Like, yeah, no. And we knew that. We saw that the first season, like him getting kind of his ass kicked at first. But I love that. Like, no. This gave me a problem. Of course I didn't tell you that. Now you were kids. Now it's time to grow up. Now you got to do this well. And I love, again, this is him being a father. This is Superman being a father to his sons, trying to protect them, trying to teach them how to protect themselves, trying to teach them how to use their powers more efficiently. And does he come to the conclusion in this scene, or are we going to get to that later about the best way to train them?
No,
because I don't want to jump.
No. We don't have to keep bouncing back and forth a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, you're right. Like he mentions that he needs to train them another way because, like, he needs to lean into their strengths because the AI of his mother tells him they're half human. They can't be you. They're never going to be you. Which was something, I'm going to be honest, did come into my mind while the training was going on. Was kind of like, well, they're both half human, so they should not be able to be Superman.
Right. And this show smartly addresses it.
Yes.
And not course corrects. He course corrects because he says, all right, you know what? I was wrong. I'm going to train you together. You got to work in tandem because, and it's not said, but it's like, okay, so both of you are half me. So 2 of you together working in sync, like only like twins can. Because do you remember they are twins, and that does get like it's never really explored. But I've known a lot of twins. I've had twin students. There is a connection, right? They know each other more than they know anyone else. And I love that conceit. I love what he says. And this is a great parenting moment, right? Because when I was growing up, all I knew was I had to do this alone. That was the only way it could be. And that's the way I thought it had to be for you, but I was wrong. You have each other. I didn't have that. And it's beautiful. Like, if you strip away like even the superhuman stuff and the comic book stuff, the emotions are so there, like of a father learning new ways. Okay, this is the way I was trained, but you're not me. I have to change to fit you. And I think it's just a beautiful moment that they don't shine a big spotlight on it. They're not like, he's being a dad here. It's all kind of subtle. And I really appreciated that because I picked up on it.
And I agree with everything you said. And they also have like a nice fun moment because like Jonathan, that's just like, when after he tells him he had to do it alone and everything like that, he's just like, "You need a hug or something like that."
Yeah, that
Like,
was
you know,
good.
like
That was good.
And he's like, "Listen, man, you guys, your exercise is going to be trying to land the punch on me," and it goes on for a while.
Yeah,
and they can't. So it also showing you, like, you know, how much still advanced he is compared to them. But I also think that him saying that, I mean, not that I suspected otherwise, but it does confirm this Superman doesn't know a Batman. There's no Justice League. None of that. Like, he is this world's protector, and that's pretty much that.
Yeah, I mean, there isn't even Supergirl, and I only bring that in because this is where this Superman was introduced. But again, the first episode, not again, I don't think I've said this, but the first episode of this series does make it kind of clear that we've broken off into a different timeline. Like, it is pretty clear that this is not the Arrowverse proper Superman that we saw. But I do think it's kind of ironic that, you know, the show that he was introduced on is also kind of like Forsaken. Like, nope, never happened. He's on his own here.
Yeah, I agree. I still stand by the fact that I do think that they made that as a creative choice along the way, because like Diggle did appear on this show a couple of times.
He did,
and and it was later confirmed that it's this Earth's Diggle, not the other one that we know. And I still will call bullshit that they kind of retconned that, which is fine. They didn't ruin it at all.
Yeah,
but I think that once they realized that we're going to move on.
That was when they were trying to set Diggle up as the Green Lantern, right?
That was the rumors all over the place. Yeah. And it totally looked like that to me.
I'm sorry. It wasn't just a rumor. He sees a fucking green ring at some point, right? Like, they were clearly doing it and decided not to. They had said that his name was like John Stewart Diggle or something like that. Like, they were really putting the paces there to make that happen. But yeah, you're right. Diggle is the only kind of loose end to that. And it can be like, yeah, okay, this universe is Diggle, whatever. They never did anything with it.
Yeah, because he never mentions that. I know in the first season, there was a very brief mention of some of the events of Crisis on Infinite Earths. But it was like, and it's fine. You could even say that this acknowledges that it happened. But as we know, there are many different Earths still.
Right.
So I do think they covered their bases. And speaking of covering their bases, something that we talked about on this show, and you brought up couple of times now, but they address it in a very subtle way in this. So Milton, who is Lex's tech guy, is reworking the suit, and we catch up with him. And after Lex's conversation with Superman, he goes to Milton, and he's going to find out what's up with my suit. And they're going through it, and Milton says to him, I found this file in there. It says Captain Luther. Did you ever serve in the military? He's like, no. And I'm like, all right. He decides to wipe it out. Just acknowledging that did happen. We didn't totally forget that happened. So bravo to the show for cleaning up that loose end. And you didn't have to do the whole thing on it.
No, that's the thing. Sometimes plot holes can be sewn up with one fucking thread of dialogue, like right here. I mean, I didn't think this was a plot hole at all.
No.
It was just something that hadn't been addressed, and they were just making sure that they're making sure that we know that they remember where this came from. And I love that. I think that's fantastic. It's like, we don't need a whole episode explaining it. One line. Were you a captain in the military? No? Good. Moving on. Exactly. We, the audience, know why that's there.
Yeah. And that's it. Subtle, quick, easy, very effective.
Good writing.
Yeah. And also, though, this is where he gets the whole file in there on Doomsday. And they call it, apparently he gets his name because they've never called him Doomsday yet. No. But it's based on this file being called the Doomsday Project.
Right. Which I think that's clever.
Yeah.
See, and now here's a difference, right? Because I did bring in the parallels. Is a big difference between the United States government having footage of Doomsday, what we know as a character Doomsday, and going, shit, this is a weapon to end all weapons. This is almost like a Doomsday weapon. We're going to call this a Doomsday file, right? As opposed to Lex Luthor in the Dawn of Justice, going, I've got these files on all of these people. I'm going to call you Green Lantern and give you a Green Lantern icon. I'm going to call you this and give you this icon. You're Aquaman, give you this icon. It's like, see, this is how to do it that isn't forced and stupid.
And Lex doesn't also say you've met your doomsday.
No, he doesn't, because this Lex actually doesn't speak like he's written by a terrible writer.
All right, so we get that the Lexo suit is getting formed, and he gets the file, but he also finds out where the fuck Doomsday is gone, because ever since Lois spoke to him a couple episodes ago, he's kind of been in the deli. Like, maybe he was going to go to a sandwich or something like that. I don't know, but we didn't really know where the hell he was. But we find out he's yeah, I don't know. I mean, but he apparently went back to Smallville and was trying to go through the tunnel to get to the Bizarro world, because that's who this Doomsday originally is Bizarro, which makes total sense. And again, they call back to a previous season how that whole thing was kind of sewn up, the path to the Bizarro world. So again, good writing, knowing that you did see the other seasons. Like it's you can acknowledge this, and that's where he is. So Lex goes there to find him.
And it's one of those things where I don't need to see the other seasons for me to follow what's going on, but it enhances it because I know where it came from. Right? They tell you, oh, he's trying to get back to his place. Oh, that's the mines. Yeah, the mines is where he came from. I think they even mention the guru. Like they even say, like, oh, is this from the time when you went into such and such universe? Like, they kind of, they explain it as much as you need it, but like they also don't hold our hands. They're like, I'm going to give you exactly what you need in case you haven't seen it. But everything else is up to you. You go back and see it if you want, but you have enough to follow this story.
Yeah. And while this is going on, Amanda and Lois meet up with each other. She sees the board that's there, and that like her whole like putting the stuff together and stuff like that. I know there's that meme of like Always Sunny in Philadelphia where Charlie's there and is just like trying to explain the whole thing.
Right.
And she sees this and she's like, Amanda's like, I should be higher up.
That's a great moment.
Yeah, and Lois is like, oh well, like because you're in charge, like you're again, further planting the seeds in her mind of insecurities there. But she also gets some valuable information because the woman that worked for Lex, right, who dated her father, kind of catfished him. We find out that she's dead. But in going back and retracing her steps, because Clark recommends that to her previously in the episode, she goes back to Bruno Mannheim.
Yeah.
Again, calling back to another season.
And that was such a nice callback. I love that actor. I love that character. I think like he was. I mean, I was so effusive about like when in him in his season, but he's fantastic here too because he's like, he's a villain, but he's not. He's a lowercase v villain because Lex is the capital V villain, and that's kind of the point he makes, right? Because he's like, why do you think we set him up? We told you not to let him out. My wife told you he was the devil. Why do you think we set him up for that murder? Because he was doing exactly what he's doing to my community. And that's the thing about Mannheim, right? Mannheim even says, look, I'm not a good guy, but I care about other people. I care about my community. He only cares about himself. Yeah. And I thought that's such a great scene watching Mannheim, watching the big bad of last season be like, look, man, I fucking told you not to do this. And like, he's not antagonistic with Lois. He asks her, how are you doing cancer-wise? And she's like, I'm getting better. Your hospital helped me. It's like, I'm glad to hear that. Like, there's such a really nice civility there, even after, like, the fact that he was the big bad. And he does wind up helping her in the end. Like, I think that's such a great character moment and such a great callback to Mannheim because I think we did talk about this. Like, he was a complex villain in the sense that it wasn't about power, money. It was about all these other moving parts. And this scene really kind of shows like, yeah, he did bad things. And he was a bad guy, but there's worse.
Yeah. And that worse being Lex. And he did say these things even in the previous season. He reaffirms them again, and he also gives Lois like some information here, saying that woman that you had mentioned, because she starts saying the things that Lex is doing to her family, mentions the name drops it, and he's like, "Oh, I know her. That was who Lex was with back then," and did the whole thing of giving her this false confidence that she was like right there with him and in love with him and stuff, only to dump her like instantly and dispose of her when he didn't need her anymore, but brings her back when he needs her. And she takes that information and then throws it back at Amanda, furthering her insecurities there with that, causing her and Lex to have a conversation later on in the episode where Lex like gets pissed and she brings it out in him, basically saying like, "Hey, you can have these deeds, you earned it. Here, here's your portion of the company. You're the number 2 shareholder in LexCorp. But this is my fucking plan. This is my show. I'm the one in fucking charge." Yada yada, like really letting her have it there. And she sees it clearly, like, "Oh, so this is correct." Like Lois was right.
And there's a great moment too, like right in between there, where she goes to like Lois puts a seed in her head and she goes, "I'm gonna go talk to Lex." And like at some point, he's already taken the fucking Lexo suit and he's going looking for Doomsday. And his guy in the chair, who looks like Patrick Wilson, but clearly it isn't. So I'm gonna call him not Patrick Wilson. Not Patrick Wilson is like, yeah, he took the Lexo suit. She's like, that wasn't part of the plan. And this is a great callback to a line that she gave him previously. He's like, "Oh, clearly you're not in charge." And because she had made such a big deal about being in charge before. And that really is what like knocks the last nail in the coffin of her not trusting Lex. She turns right around and goes to Lois.
Yeah, basically, like everyone sees it. Everyone's confirming essentially what Lois said.
Yeah.
So there's that. But so going back to Lex, he's got this upgraded suit. It's laced with kryptonite, and it's got these kryptonite drills, so he can drill into Superman because Martin tells him, "You're gonna go fight a man of steel. You need to go ahead and be able to drill in this kryptonite." And like he's built a weapon to really kill Superman now. Like apparently the other thing didn't work. This suit is built specifically just to kill him, but he does take that dough and kills Doomsday one more time to make him even more all that powerful.
Yeah.
And sixth him on the town of Smallville, and Superman has to go ahead and protect that.
And I want to point out, he doesn't sick him on Superman. He doesn't sick him on Lois Lane. He doesn't even sick him on the 2 Superboys. He unleashes him on the entire town of Smallville because, and I quote, "They chose him over me."
Yeah. Total vanity situation.
Like they really like. I'll be honest with you. When we first met this Lex, I was like, "This is an interesting take, but this is really far away from what I know as the Lex Luthor in the canon." And I was okay with it, but but now as we're getting farther into it, I'm like, no, actually, I was wrong. This show really understands Lex Luthor in a very interesting way, because this is 100% something. He's such a narcissist that he would completely wipe out a small town for nodding their hat at Superman over him. And just but the fact that they introduce him the way they do, and they build it up slowly to this point where he, like, even Allison is like, "I can't sign off on this."
So Lex has gone to a point where he's gone way, way past anything else. No one's talking about anything now. He is full rage mode. I must kill Superman and basically anyone who's anywhere near connected to him. He's following through on the promise.
Out the entire town.
He's following through on the promise that he said earlier in the episode.
Yes,
literally going after.
Literally, because the town protected Clark. and he promised to take everything away from Clark that mattered, and that includes Smallville. Clark's family is the only thing I think that matters to him more than his town.
Yeah. So during this whole thing, the boys are doing what they've got to do while he's taking on Doomsday, and they're saving people. They're going around and trying to save the citizens of Smallville. And
I love this scene.
Another callback, though, to the first season, because we haven't seen this in a while, where they actually go back and acknowledge, because Jordan goes back to that diner and sees the woman, I guess she's the owner also, like she's hiding behind the counter. Yeah. She's having a panic attack. And he goes in there and he recalls on his own, because we haven't seen him do it in a while, but in the first season, there was mentions of him having, panic attacks. He's like, when I needed one to help me calm down, I would hold on to something cold. He uses his cold breath to cool off this glass, this coffee mug, and gives it to her and helps calm her down and get her out of the panic attack. So that was a really cool moment.
That is one of my favorite scenes in this entire series, because it's him using his superpowers and his strength and his bravery to help someone without using his superpowers, strength, and bravery. You know what I mean? He makes a thing cold. That's a superpower, sure. But he could have grabbed a fucking bucket of ice. It doesn't matter. What matters is how he helps this woman is by remembering what helped him in panic. And I also really love that we're actually shining a light and saying, you know what? Anxiety and emotional fucking pain is also, or emotional stress or whatever, is also danger. And there are different ways to save people. And I think that's what this whole show has been, right? Like, there are different ways to be a superhero. There are different ways to be the Superman, right? It's not just about fucking fighting, punching, and flying. And right here, it really is exemplified in this scene, because his kid, who is Superboy, runs in and literally just has a calm moment with this woman to center her so he can save her. And it's I thought it was beautiful.
Yeah. But Clark is punching and flying and doing his thing. With Doomsday, they're having this whole drag out battle and stuff like that. And he is battle scarred again. And he has a moment where he's talking to his family. And it's basically the last shot of the episode where it looks like it may or may not happen again. He's kind of, in a weird way, somewhat acknowledging that, like, he might not make it out of this again.
He says goodbye to them.
Yeah.
Like that, he said, I love you guys.
Yep, and he knows what's away.
Like, yep. And that's the thing. He couldn't beat Doomsday's last incarnation. And he was at full strength. And now Doomsday is stronger, and he's got the heart of a 60-year-old human being.
Mm-hmm.
He knows there's no coming back from this. And just so we don't forget, Lois does try to get through to him, Doomsday.
Oh, yeah.
But that, like, it's destroyed any part of humanity. Like, there is no part of that bizarro Clark Kent left, apparently. But that moment, like, I'll be honest with you, that sent chills down my spine, because he's getting the shit kicked out of him, and he's just there, and and Lois and the kids are like, no, Clark, and he's just like, I love you guys. Swoop. And he's gone, and that's it. That's the end of the fucking episode.
Yeah, so, I mean, they've really teed up this finale, because I would imagine it's going to be just a full-out battle in Smallville between Doomsday, Lex, like, everything is just on the table now, and we're going to find out how this all ends. I mean, it's kind of wild.
I'm not sure that Superman is going to live.
There's a part of me that agrees with you, but then there's a part of me that is like, this show is not going to do that. But the fact that I'm questioning it is already good enough.
I'm the same. I'm the same. I think, like, okay, maybe I don't think the show might do it, but I don't know. Maybe it will. Like,
I know. I wouldn't be
really
floored.
tied to the Arrowverse.
I wouldn't be floored. I wouldn't be like, oh my god, this is the most shocking thing ever. That if he doesn't make it out of this, if he sacrifices himself at the end, I would guess it's probably going to be with him and Lex, though. I think they're the ones who are going to have the final drag out. Doomsday somehow is going to get out of the picture.
Fuck yeah. No. Doomsday's not like Doomsday's going to rough. I think Doomsday's going to rough him up and then something's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen, to be honest with you. I don't have any, Mephisto, Mojo. I don't know. I have no ideas. But yeah, I think you're right. I think it's going to be a drag down fight where like he's got to sacrifice himself to take Lex down or something. If it happens, it might not happen. And to be honest with you, I can't believe I'm saying this because I used to hate Superman. I hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah,
I hope the Superman gets just fine at the end.
So do I. I hope he gets. I'm sure he's going to get put through, but I do hope he lives in the end. But I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on that. I really am not. I'm not.
Same.
There. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm really looking forward to this finale next week. Like this is going to be pretty awesome.
One more episode. I'm excited to see it, but I'm sad to see it go.
Very, very much. One detail I noticed, by the way, because at the very end they show Lex's vision in the Lexo suit, the graphics are green and purple.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Giving you the comics accurate, some way version of the comics accurate.
Oh yeah, I didn't
without
even
getting
that. That's so cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Again, that's what the show does really well. It takes comic stuff, it gives the appropriate nods, it changes what it needs to change for the narrative, for the story it's telling, but it still feels authentic. Like this Henry Irons comes from an alternate universe, right? He still feels like an authentic fucking Steel, regardless of that's not how Steel came about, but it's authentic. This Lex Luthor, very different, still feels authentic. And that's where this show really works, is it takes these characters we know and we think we know, and it changes them just enough that it's interesting, but doesn't feel inauthentic to the source material. And that's not easy to do.
No, it's not. It's sort of what I think the Fox X-Men franchise tried to do at times, but didn't. It was successful in various degrees. This has been way more successful in that inconsistency with that.
But speaking of the Fox franchise,
yeah. Speaking of which, perfect segue. Well done, sir.
Power, Ed.
Yes, I admit it was not fully, thought out there, but it kind of led there.
No. You set me up for that. Like, honestly, I would not have segued unless you brought that around. I would not have segued. So technically, yes, I jumped on that, but you set that up.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So we are wrapping up our Fox X-Men. If you followed our show, we have covered all 13 movies. We are not counting Deadpool and Wolverine in as a part of this because it wasn't made by Fox.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't made during the 20th Century Fox. So it's made by Disney. It's an MCU film. So for the sake of the discussion and the argument, we're going to say that one does not count. So this, though,
which is fair,
was the final released movie even though Disney owned Fox, this was technically 20th Century Studios film, but it was made during the Fox era.
Okay.
Right? Like it didn't get released because this movie was shot in 2017.
Yeah. And I think that's
a long time ago now.
I think that's part of why it doesn't kind of work, because it was shot and then it was released many, many years later in a time where it didn't hold up because the landscape of comic book movies changed, even in that small gap of years.
Yeah, shot in 2017, not released until it got delayed like 3 or 4 times. It didn't get released until 2020, which me and my wife, Angie, went to see this in the theater in Connecticut because the theaters in New York weren't open yet.
That's right. I forgot during the pandemic, you and Angie were like traveling out of state to see movies.
We needed to get the hell out of the house.
I get that.
We really did. And we were like, let's go to this AMC theater in, I think it was like Stamford, Connecticut, or wherever the hell we went. And we had met up with a friend who lives there too. And the three of us were the only people in the theater to see this. We're wearing masks and everything. Like, we're doing the whole thing. And we saw this and Tenet in IMAX as our double feature because we saw two since we were making that trip.
I mean, you're making a trip. All right, I gotta ask, how was Tenet in the theater? Because that's an intense movie.
It was really intense. Yeah. Super intense in the theater. And it was awesome to see in IMAX.
That's all. Oh, I'm so jealous that you saw that. I saw that once on my computer. I love Christopher Nolan, and it was one of the, not just take a small sidestep, but it was one of those movies that I watched, and I was like, and I had to wait till my family went away because I can't be called away every 5 fucking minutes, right? While I'm watching Tenet. Yeah, and I'm watching it, and like I'm seeing it, and I'm like, I'm calling certain aspects because I know it's a time travel movie, and I'm very well versed in time travel movie physics. But then I'm also like, what is going on? Like, not in a bad way. Like, it was an intense movie. There's a lot going on. I think I need to rewatch it.
Yeah, now that we're talking about it, I kind of feel like I want to. I've seen it a couple of times. I know I saw it like when it was released in video, and I saw it in IMAX the first time along with this. And yeah, I've always liked Tenet. It's a mind fuck of a movie, but
it is. But it's very Christopher Nolan. And actually, I wouldn't mind in the future doing a PCP deep dive on the work of Christopher Nolan, because I honestly think he's definitely in my holy trinity of favorite directors, like right now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Even though
and it's not just the Batman stuff.
And it's your call if you want to revisit Batman during the Dark Knight trilogy.
No,
because we've done it here. But
we did. I actually made a decision early on when I started that no matter what we did, we would not cover comic book movies that we have covered or will cover because I don't want to double dip.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes,
you're basically just redoing and rehashing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if worse comes to worse, I'd give Ginny 20 minutes to sound off on those movies, and because she didn't get to talk about those. But and it doesn't matter. I wasn't even thinking about that. I'm thinking more like Memento and Tenet and Oppenheimer, which I still haven't seen. So that's a possibility, man. Christopher Nolan, love that man.
Okay. All right, so yes, so New Mutants then. Jason, your overall thoughts. You can start off because this is the first time you've seen this movie. I've seen this movie. I want to say this is probably the third or fourth time I've seen this movie.
Okay. First time I saw it, watched it last night, or 2 nights ago. I thought it was fine. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I didn't like it. I didn't dislike it. There are things I liked about it, and there are things I felt that were kind of boring. I think the strength of this movie is on the kids and on the cast. And also I want to be clear. I'm not as familiar with the New Mutants as I am a lot of other properties that we cover. I knew Sunspot, but mostly not from comic books, mostly from the X-Men show.
X-Men 7, yeah.
Yeah, and like Marvel Snap that I play. Magic I've heard of, but I only know her from that card game. I'd never read anything with her in it. Cannonball I'm actually very familiar with because he's like a founding New Mutant from the comic book. I don't actually know who the girl with the pixie cut was.
Oh, Wolfsbane.
Oh, that was Wolfsbane. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, not a character I'm very familiar with, and I don't know the main character. I don't know her from the comic at all. So that's the thing. So I'm not sure if I'm the best audience for this because I don't know these characters very well. But overall, I thought the characters were the strongest part. Weakest part was it was lacking a real villain. And they set up the Essex Corporation. You know who owns the Essex Corporation. We fucking know who's running this. Why isn't he the villain?
I mean, I think it's because they I get if you remember the post-credit scene from X-Men Apocalypse, that was
I
totally setting up
do.
the Essex Incorporation.
I
I
absolutely
think
do.
this movie was supposed to be I'm guessing this movie was probably supposed to be the next movie out the shoot after that,
Yep.
and
Which makes a hell of a lot
totally
more sense
botched
than
everything
the
up.
Essex. Yeah, because we get that scroll at the end, and I remember that very well because I was like, oh shit, I know Mr. Sinister, but where is this going? And then we get Logan, and I'm like, is this where this was going? What happened to that Essex Corp shit? You know, and I kind of just went along with it. But I think you're right. I think it was supposed to be setting this up.
Yeah, like loosely, because again, let's just say that movie, let's say it does set it up, and we still don't see him in this. And I always imagined that the fourth X-Men movie in the rebooted version was supposed to be Mr. Sinister, because remember that was the longest time, and
Yeah.
we just got a fucking Dark Phoenix rehash again.
Right. Which no one wanted, no one needed. Dark Phoenix is fucking bad mojo at this point. Don't never try to do the Dark Phoenix saga again in real life until you've proven you can do a ton of good X-Men stuff. But yeah, and I think you're right. I think maybe they were holding out Mr. Sinister for that and they didn't use him. But that makes it even worse though. Because at least if they didn't use him, but we saw him in a better movie, okay. But we didn't see him in a worse movie, and we didn't see him in this movie. But you said, like, and again, I get it. Not everyone, reads the comics. Not everyone knows the Essex Corporation, Mr. Sinister. But clearly you put that in there for a reason. Pay that off.
Yeah, and the thing was, like, some of the stuff here, like, was that I read up on and understood over time based on various reports, was, Josh Boone was all about trying to he wanted this to be a horror movie within the X-Men universe. Like, that was his thing. So I think that's why they scaled back the real villain per se, and like the Demon Bear isn't necessarily the villain of the movie, is and isn't. But you're right. It's just weird because it's kind of like, to take this as a horror movie. Okay, I just think this movie doesn't fully commit to being a comic book movie, and it doesn't fully commit to being a horror movie. It's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah,
right.
I agree. I think
that's what holds it back in the end, I think.
No, I agree. Like the fact that you had said last night, 2 nights when we were texting about this movie, and you had told me that this was meant to be a straight up horror movie, and we agreed. Like, yeah, we kind of have to give him credit for having that vision. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But this isn't a straight up horror movie. This is, and it's not an X-Men movie. And you're right. I think that's the thing. It needed to lean into one or the other. But by playing it safe, it leans into nothing, and therefore it doesn't do anything interesting. Like, if this was a horror movie, like we got a bunch of fucking superpowered kids, and we have, until they tell us, we have no idea why their worst nightmares are coming into reality. Until they explicitly said, like, that's our power. I didn't realize she was doing it, right? Maybe I'm just stupid. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. But anyway, there's a way that you could do that to make it where, like, you have a cast of, this is your main cast, fine. Add like 4 more kids. Doesn't matter who they are. They have stupid powers. Doesn't matter. They're fodder. And it's just literally like kids being picked off. And the reveal at the end is, oh, it's our friend who's doing this unconsciously.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And that could be a horror movie. But this wasn't that. This was like trying to be like, we're captured, we're captives here, we're being tested on, we don't know what's going on, and we go back and forth, and it's like, you're right, it needed to commit one way or the other what it was. Are you an X-Men movie, or are you a fucking horror movie?
Yeah, and I will say, though, I do think I like the idea of a horror movie set in the X-Men universe. I like the fact that I like the approach that they took with going through like the explanation of like the movie starts off, I think, fairly solid with showing us like, they're in this institution, they're being, they're kind of being manipulated a little bit. They have a doctor, who's Dr. Reyes, who's studying their powers. The fact that she is the only one from the Access Corporation there, even though I know she can throw shields, have a tough time buying that one. If the Essex Corporation, and we've discussed this, right? Like sometimes I know in deep dive, lately I'm like, what is Freddy's plan? Like what's the plan, right? Let's lay out the plan, and that has led us down a path of confusion and frustration at times.
Yes,
so
it's true.
Let's look at this from the Essex Corporation's plan, who I actually do think have a better plan than some of the adventures of Frederick Krueger recently. But I will say that the one thing you had to do, right? You're going to take these new mutants that are being discovered. You're going to train them to be killers, right? Okay, I'm on board. I get it. You're trying to get them at a young. You're basically saying, I'm going to get these kids before Charles does, and make them into killers versus heroes, right? But you don't send one person in this big grand hospital to do it by themselves, right? If you're feeling this is important, I'm just saying, if I'm Mr. Sinister, I probably don't do that. You see them doing tests, extracting things like the mess. I can totally see Reyes's interactions with her superior, who she constantly mentions, being Mr. Sinister. I can totally see that, at least, or 100%. Maybe it's just in my imagination, right? It was just a hard time buying that. Magic, played by Anya Taylor-Joy here, which, by the way, the cast of this movie, especially at 2017, caught them at a time where this was like a blossoming cast. This
is a great cast. I'm going to say that is. I said the kids were the strongest part about this, and a lot of it has to do with the casting, because I think each and every one of these new mutants are killing it in their role. Like the girl who plays Magic, I think is fantastic. I texted you because I saw. Yeah, I saw Lockheed, and I was like, "Is that fucking Shadowcat? I don't get this." But you kind of cleared it up for me, because again, I'm not that familiar with that character. But after watching it and like watching her attitude and what she's about, I was like, "Wow, she's killing it!" Like they're all killing it. The guy who plays Sunspot, I think, is really good. I think the guy who plays Cannonball, not what I picture for that character. I don't think it's a accurate representation of that character in the comic book. But I thought it was a great take on the character.
Yeah, I like that interpretation of Cannonball for this. That's what I'm saying. Like a lot of the things that they're doing here, I like for this vision, and this is based on the Demon Bear story arc from the comics. Like that's where the inspiration is clearly from. So there is source material to go off of from this.
That's cool.
And so they do take that, and it was inspired during a kind of horror run of the New Mutants. Like there was a horror-esque element that they had going on. So this isn't just like completely pulled out of thin air. So I like all of that for it. But Anya Taylor-Joy, who was Furiosa this past summer, and so then she's gone on to do a lot of.
That was Furiosa.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She's gotten big since then.
Oh shit! Okay,
they were ahead of the game on this one, and she's Magic, who I think is definitely the best character in this movie,
for sure.
Yeah, she is, and I'm not, and that's not shitting on Maisie Williams, who was in Game of Thrones, who was
yes, she was. Yes,
and at the time, think back to when this. Yes, you do.
I know
that. I got that reference.
It's right.
Yeah, she was on. Yeah, she was on Game of Thrones at the time as well. You got Charlie Heaton, who was in Stranger Things, right there. So you do got like a pretty young up and coming cast. So it was smart. And again, I like all of them for this. It's just I think you had all the ingredients of something awesome. But you're right. I just think you needed to go further. What I would have done, if I'm Josh Boone, I go further into the horror element because I
Yep.
do think you get enough X-Men stuff in here. There's just enough of it where I don't feel like it's ham-fisted and they're not beating you over the head with it. And
I agree.
we'll talk about that, and I guess we can get to that in a second. But I just think you needed to go further. And from what I had understood, there was reshoots ordered by Fox when they saw this, and they ordered it to be. They wanted the movie to be scarier, based on the ads and the advertisements. Like they felt like we needed this movie to further commit into the horror. Josh Boone apparently doesn't really love horror movies, and they had a creative disagreement on this. And
wait, so it's Josh Boone is the reason we didn't go further into the horror?
I guess. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like some of the things that I'd seen or read was a little bit odd for that. So,
because if that's the case, I kind of have to take it away for the kudos I gave to him for being like, I want to do a horror movie in the MCU, because he went, I want to do a horror-like movie in the MCU, but no, not horror. Like,
well, I think he just didn't want to fully. I guess maybe he didn't, not being a horror director, he didn't fully go all in. And I kind of agree with Fox wanting it to be scarier at the time. And we usually kind of do dump on studios when they get involved. But I can kind of see that. But then the Disney merger happened, and then they were like, those reshoots that they ordered, no.
Okay.
The cut of the film that exists is the one that's getting released, if it ever gets released at the time. Because there was also rumors this was just going to get like dumped on Hulu, and that was going to be it.
Oh, that would yeah, okay. Well, at the time, I mean, that would have made sense too, because like how many people were traveling 3 states to see movies besides you and Angie?
Yeah, I agree. Well, yeah, because we're nuts sometimes with that. Oh, listen, when I heard it was going to be out on Hulu at the time, I'm like, new movie, okay, let's go, right? And also, Prey, which was the Predator prequel that was dropped on Hulu, 100% should have been in the theater. I don't know if you've seen that or not.
Oh, that I've never seen it, but that wasn't in the theater. That was a Hulu drop?
That was a fucking Hulu drop. And that movie, number one, that movie's fucking awesome. So I love Predator. And yes, I know the sequels are various degrees of success. But
I have literally defended Predator 2 on a podcast and won.
I am open to revisiting that because I have not seen it in such a long time, and I've always hated it. But I wonder if that was younger me being like, "Oh, Arnold's not here. Go fuck yourself."
Yeah, I think right now you're at the age where you really understand how it feels to be getting too old for this shit, and being put in Danny Glover's perspective, being too old for this shit, fighting a predator. Man, it's a metaphor for life when you're our age. It's like, oh man, I'm too old for this shit. I gotta get up in the morning. I gotta fight a predator. I gotta go to work. This sucks.
Why is it that when you need someone who's too old for this shit, they go back to Danny Glover?
I don't know. I think, are we at this point older than Danny Glover was when he made Lethal Weapon? I think we might be.
We might be. Or I would guess we're probably like around the same age.
We gotta be like.
But I will say that like Prey is the best. It's the best Predator sequel prequel that exists. Without question. Without question at all. I would be shocked, even in your defense of Predator 2, that you would say you would watch Prey and be like, Predator 2 is better. I don't know if you would say that. I hope you watch Prey and you give it a shot, and then you can report back on your findings and see where that goes. But back to the original thing, though. I will say that I do wish they would have got those reshoots and leaned into the horror aspect of this. And I think we would have been maybe the better for it. As long as you didn't jumble up the story. And Mr. Sinister, if you were revealing him at the end, pretty terrifying character you could easily include in a horror movie.
Agreed. This movie could have been like, okay, we're a bunch of mutant kids stuck in this place with this doctor. Shit starts attacking us. Some of us get killed because, as I said, you got to put a couple of, sort of people in there to be killed. We turn, and because again, if we're talking about Nightmare on Elm Street, we're talking like parallels, right? We turn to the adult in the room. The adult in the room actually is in on it, and she turns on us. We kind of have to fight her, and then we fight through this, and then at the end, Mr. Sinister's there. He doesn't even do much. He just had to be there. If this whole movie happened, and at the end, Mr. Sinister was like, ah, ah, ah.
Yeah, we're in the shadow and stuff. Like we see him in X-Men
Right.
97 constantly.
Right, just something to like, but like the villain. It's funny because you said the villain was the bear. I thought it was the doctor, like because the bear kills the doctor at the end, and the bear is a manifestation of what's her face's powers, Moonstar's powers, which is like Mirage. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So like, I don't know. I didn't think the bear was the villain. I kind of knew the bear was just a manifestation. Like so. In my opinion, the villain was the fucking doctor who goes, I'm on your side. No, I'm not on your side. I'm going to fight you. Oh, now I'm dead. The bear killed me. Great. And I think if the villain, if all that happened a bit earlier and we had some horror kills in the beginning, and then the twist was you thought that was the villain, but Mr. Sinister is here and he does some shit. Much better movie. Much better movie.
Yeah, I can agree. I guess some of the things we could talk about here is also the actual horror elements that we get in this movie. Now, the demon bear, if you want to say, isn't got red eyes and is made, it's CGI and whatever, and is made to look intimidating and stuff like that. Not so much. I think personally, the smiley guys that Magic sees and is completely terrified by, they're creepy as fuck.
Yep, I agree. They're really like the scary part of this.
So, do you know who voiced the brief voicing of the smiley guys?
Oh no, I don't. Who?
Marilyn Manson.
What?
Yes, exactly.
I didn't see that coming.
No, not at all. Well, again, remember we did a couple of nights ago. We talked about Alice Cooper.
Oh, that's right. You're right. The
fucking
connections.
Somehow. It happens. Totally not happens.
No, that is your mutant superpower. We've established that.
Inadvertently making connections to things and just being like, all right,
yes.
There. So yeah, they're definitely the thing. We do get something with Sunspot when he's having his vision and he's in the pool and he is, we find out that he did kill his girlfriend previously and she was burned up, and that's why he's scared of basically getting his temperature up and everything.
Yeah.
And
because there is a whole subplot about his virginity. There is a whole subplot about him, like, not his virginity, because I think he does sleep with he killed his girlfriend while they were having sex or something, right?
Yeah, or even to the fact that in the vision we get of his, like, he's getting close to it, right? Yeah. He's kind of getting worked up, and then his body temperature. He doesn't remember. None of them know how to control their powers outside of magic. Really.
Yeah.
Right. Like Cannonball's kind of learning how to do his thing. He's hurting himself. That's why his arm's in the sling most of the movie. Wolfsbane can kind of control her thing. She's still kind of learning. Reyes is basically like learning how to do. Sunspot's learning how to control his powers. But he killed his girlfriend, and that's it. But we see her burnt body coming up out of the water in a pool scene where he thinks he's with Magic, and she was never there the whole time. That's another horror thing that we get. And the priest, that in Wolfsbane's vision, when she's in the shower, pretty fucked up, that one. The sliced up priest who apparently attacked her and stuff like that.
Yeah, because she was being attacked or molested or like something. There was some bad shit going on.
Well, I think he was. The way that they explain, I'm going to take it on face value. He was trying to beat the mutant basically out of her.
Okay, yeah, fair.
And enough, I know there is I also kind of read this too as a subcontext, because Moonstar and Wolfsbane, they do have a gay relationship in the film. And I also took that as a subtext of like the priest trying to like beat that out of her at the same time. Yeah, and I got it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going for.
Yeah.
Like, not molesting, but yeah, beating this. All right, we're gonna pray the gay out of you. Now we're gonna beat
basically.
the shit out of you. And it's
And also, but yeah, kudos to this movie for by the way doing that. They have a comic book movie, a relationship at the time. Like that's not really like a thing.
No, it's true. I mean, if it were done after if it was made after what 2020, 2022,
it was
what's the
released
year?
in 2020.
And it would be called. Okay, so like because if it's made after a certain time, it's woke.
Yes, exactly.
If it's made before a certain time, it's not woke. It's just simply done. Like, we don't go back and exists exactly. We don't go back and say, hey, a female had a lot of lines in Star Wars and she was a big central character. That fucking Star Wars is woke. We don't say that. But if when Star Wars is made today, we accuse it of being woke all over the place. So I'm just curious, where does this fit in the woke time? Is this woke or too early to be woke?
I'm going to say too early to be because it was shot in 2017. So, like, that version of it didn't exist yet. So I'm going to say no. I still don't think it is. But
all right,
for the sake of argument, definitely not. And it would have beaten Eternals to the punch, by the way. Remember, because like Eternals, I think was technically the first one to even have like a gay character in it.
You're right. With that scandalous kiss, right? Or that scandalous relationship with a man.
Lasted like about 5 seconds of screen time.
Yeah. So, but that was woke though, because it came out at the right time. It came out after the wokeness, right? Like there was pre-wokeness and post-wokeness, and it makes no sense to me. But I'm trying to learn in this new America, Ed.
Yeah, I'm pretty much gonna just keep on taking dumps on it, and just that's it. I'm just not gonna even care. Whatever. There's too many rules for me to follow to learn to do all that. So it just keeps on happening. Well, their relationship is at a core of the film, where that is Moonstar is kind of the main character in this movie, but Magic is the much more interesting character. To me,
she steals the show. She does.
She does. She's a scene stealer. I also think the better actress, and I also think dude, Magic is Colossus's sister, who she doesn't mention him by name.
I didn't know.
Yeah, that's his younger sister, and she references him not by full name, but says she has a brother and stuff like that. She's Russian and stuff, so they're nailing all that stuff with her. And she has Locket, and she has the Limbo. She has the Soul Sword, and everything like that. Like they do a great job, I think.
Yeah.
With Alana Rasputin here.
I agree. Magic is definitely the highest point of this movie, and you're right. The actress kills it. She's great. Like there are just some scenes like with her and the main girl, Moon. I'm sorry, I forget her name. I'm so bad.
Or
Moonstar.
Mirage,
Thank you.
Mirage,
yeah.
Our hero name.
So
she doesn't get in this movie.
Yeah, no, that's why not at all. But so there's the scene of like, where Magic points out to Mirage like there are no boundaries, there are no gates, and Mirage is like, yes, all right, and she starts running, and Magic is just kind of laughing. Like it's moments like that and like she of course runs into something and hits her head, and because there's a force field, and Magic laughs at her, and it's moments like that where it's like that's such interesting character work. There's such interesting stuff, and she's so good and subtle in some of those things, some of those interactions.
She also has it in for Moonstar a lot. Like she says some pretty fucked up shit to her on a regular basis.
She's a bad person.
Yeah, no, she's not. Like, yeah, exactly. Now her past is revealed too, that she murdered like 18 dudes and stuff like that, and like based on what her past, she was obviously abused in the past and everything like that, which is why she creates Limbo for a place for her to go. And Locket becomes a real dragon who's a puppet for most of the movie, but at the end becomes actually comes to life. And I thought that was pretty cool, and I do love the whole thing with her. But regarding Limbo and her abilities and stuff, she couldn't leave this hospital at any given time. Yeah.
All right. You're right. I can't argue that. Like, she literally could tear a hole in reality, go to a pocket dimension, and exit somewhere else.
Yep. So she was free to go whenever she really wanted to, but movie has to happen.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Although I don't know. I mean, if I'm going to try to give this movie the benefit of the doubt. Like, are there any times where we're kind of like, I don't know, she knows she can leave it because she knows she's powerful. She's never afraid of anything in this movie,
except the smiley face guys.
Well, except the smiley face guys, yeah. But that's in her limbo. Like, that's what she sees, right? But like, she's never afraid of anything in the hospital.
No, nothing that's in reality. No, she
right.
shits
So, like,
on everything.
Maybe she's like, yeah, I got nowhere else to be. I'll stay here. This is fucking interesting. I'll go when I want. They can't do anything to me. I'll fuck with the new girl. Like, I don't know. Maybe it was a choice. I don't know. I like this movie enough to try to give it a little credit.
No, I'm gonna hold on to it as a ding towards the movie, but whatever. It is what it is. It's a small ding on it. And another thing I'm gonna just say is, and I'm gonna chalk this up to wacky X-Men timeline, Fox X-Men timeline, because let's talk about the X-Men references in this movie. So Wolfsbane brings up.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, so Wolfsbane brings up that she believes that they're being trained to be X-Men. Like, that's what she believes is happening here and stuff like that. Right? Okay, like, fair enough. Like, I can see, yeah. And then Sunspot sits in a wheelchair and does the whole thing. And even Dr. Reyes tells them, the mutants as heroes that the world loves and stuff like that. Like, at one point when they were younger, they hurt people. Pretty much telling them this is where you guys are at. Yeah. Kind of sort of alluding to them like, yeah, you're here now, but like, we will get you to control your powers and you will be better. Which is, Charles does, but in a completely different approach. So that's why I can see where the parallels are with that. But one of the things that happens here, right, and this is kind of somewhat, it's hard to get past, is that we get actual footage from Logan in this movie. Yeah. Actually reused footage from Logan in this movie, where there's tests being done, and Danny Moonstar sees things that were happening to other, like, I guess she's going to Reyes's memories, but it's security footage that we saw in Logan. It's literally the same exact footage. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you're right.
So this movie acknowledges that Logan happened previously?
But
had to.
I guess, yeah, but shouldn't it be in the timeline Logan will happen? Like, because in Logan, mutants aren't born anymore. There aren't any more mutants. They're dying off.
But I will say this.
How would there be new mutants?
Well, that's what I'll say is this. And no, I think it's totally fucked up. But we can try to explain it now. Right? Is the footage that we see that is in Dr. Reyes's memories previously happened. Logan, it previously happened. Right? Like X-23 is in there and stuff like that. So they both previously happened.
Okay.
This movie is very isolated. Right? Like, it's very isolated. The only quirk there is what Reyes says about the way we see mutants as heroes and stuff like that. Because at that point in Logan, they did not see them. Like, the world, again, they were being eradicated. So that's where it kind of gets jumbled up a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
And
because it is so isolated, I could overlook it. Like,
no, I could, but I'm watching it this time. I admit I did not recall that from the last time. I'm like, maybe because we literally just watched Logan last week, and I'm like,
yeah, right. I'm sure that helps.
Okay. This is literally the footage that Logan sees on his camera phone, on the phone that's given to him. So you can't. This cannot be ignored.
And then it's weird how this movie ends with them calling a limousine, and Logan shows up driving the limousine to take them somewhere. It's weird.
No, that would have been something right there.
That'd have been great.
We're gonna find a way to get Hugh Jackman in this movie one way or the other.
Because exactly, look, he's just gonna be a limo driver. Is he Wolverine? Nah, fuck no. He's just a limo driver. Just get Hugh Jackman in there. He ain't taking a break.
No, there's no breaks for him whatsoever.
So I'm Wolverine driving limo. No, shut up, Hugh. You're just a limo driver. Am I an Australian limo driver? No, American. Do your American accents.
We're gonna buzz cut you too, also, and you should get some facial hair though.
You take the cigar. I really think you're making me Wolverine. Shut up, bub. I mean, Hugh.
Exactly. Yeah, so I mean that more or less kind of like does it. I another interesting piece here though was it was Alana Rasputin and Dr. Reyes were actually on screens in X2 during the database scene where if you look in fine print, they are in there. So that was interesting that they, again, totally. I think back then it was just them throwing in Easter eggs as much as they could. Yeah. Because Remy LeBeau was name dropped also in one of the X-Men movies too.
Right.
Before.
I think it's that one. I think he's also in that.
Yeah, I think he might be actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be the one. And Rosario Dawson was actually still supposed to be in this. She was supposed to be Dr. Reyes and dropped out for unknown reasons.
Oh, man. I had no problem with the actress playing Reyes, but Rosario Dawson would have made this next level.
And apparently James McAvoy's Professor X in an original draft was supposed to be in this movie too.
Oh, he should have been.
No, but
that's how this should have ended.
Yeah.
It should have ended with Professor X scooping these kids up at the end and going, "Let me take you to a place where I'll make you my killers," you know?
But you'll have costumes and cool code names.
Costumes, cool code names. You'll meet the Wolverine. Shut up, bub. I'm driving.
No, I wanted to see like Logan, Professor X. I want to see Patrick Stewart in this one. Yeah. I want to see him rambling. No. Está bien. Choo choo. Choo choo.
Sunspot's like, I'm Brazilian. I speak Portuguese, man. What are you doing? Because he's Brazilian, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, what are you talking about, dude?
Yeah.
That would be great. No, I just want him talking like that to everybody. That's it. It doesn't even matter who they are now. Yeah, my thoughts on this thing. Listen, I enjoyed the film for what it is. It's not great. Like kind of like Jason said, I think we're in agreement on this. Like, it's not great. It's not terrible. It's an interesting concept. It had concepts of a really cool idea. It's just the execution. Yeah, just the execution was not fully there. Not the cast fault. Good cast.
No, great cast. Great
cast. Good ideas. Those were our tweaks. I think you fully commit to the horror. Maybe get a little Mr. Sinister at the end of this, or even in a post-credit scene. And I wonder if it would have happened, if it would have been released when it was supposed to be released. And by the way, not PG-13.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Not PG-13. This needed to be R. Right? Like I think
that's a very good point. Sorry, my internet crapped out for a second.
Okay.
But yeah, that's a very good point. Like and also I think the fact that they were in the middle of the studio exchange, the buying, it's like, how different would this movie have been if it was finished before the merger happened? Because they ordered those reshoots. They clearly they had said there's something lacking here.
And they were right.
So, and they were right. And look, sometimes studios are right. And I learned that with, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Payback with Mel Gibson. This was so back when Mel Gibson, when it was hard to imagine him being a bad guy. Now it's like it's hard to imagine being a good guy. But I remember being so excited for the director's cut of that movie because I love that movie, the original, and the director's cut was fucking terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason it had the ending it had and it had was as good as it was because of studio interference. So yeah, sometimes the studio is right. Not all the time, not most of the time, but sometimes they're right. And I think in this case they were right. Like it needed to do something else to elevate itself, and this didn't.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so with that down, let's get into our ranking of the Fox X-Men films. Now we have
our triple X rankings.
There we go. There we go. We have wrapped it up. We're good to go now. We have watched all 13 of these movies. Reviews are available on YouTube. You can go check them out there with each one. And all right, I'm gonna drop the ticker. Jason, you can go first.
All right.
Your rankings are on the bottom of the screen now. If you want to go and follow along. And
all right, I got
take us through them.
Here. All right, so I got X2 at the top. I'm going to be clear. This is not what I think the best movies are.
Yeah, it's your favorite.
I did say Logan is the best movie of this whole thing, in my opinion. But this is my favorite. This is what gets me happy. X2, fucking top notch, because I am at heart an X-Men fan. I like Logan. I like Deadpool. I like all these characters, but I love the X-Men as a whole, and I think X2 is the best X-Men movie. Like, it brings them together. You have villains, you have heroes, you get the multifaceted sides of Magneto, you get the Pyro switching sides. There's so much going on that clearly for me that's top tier X-Men. Then I got Deadpool 2. That movie is I find that movie a lot of fun. I think Juggernaut is there and he's not saying bitch, which is nice. And Cable is there, and I don't know, there's just so much going on. I think it's very clever. It's very fun. It's kind of balls to the wall. I appreciate that. Logan is 3. I think Logan is a great movie. It's the best of these movies, but I would go for the top 2 fun before I went for the third best, because it's a very serious movie. I don't think Logan's fun. Logan's great. It's just not fun.
Yeah.
Then I got Dead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I would agree. Outside of my brief Charles ramblings, then no, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. No. The Charles ramblings are fun, and but this thing, it's an amazing movie. It is. I think I said when we did it, it's a film with a capital F. It's not a comic book film. It's a film. No. So, but again, it's not fun. Then I got Deadpool because I just enjoy the shit of that movie. Days of Futures Past, which I admit is not as good as First Class, but I do enjoy it more for the same reason of I'm getting a lot of X-Men beats I like. I'm getting Magneto. This is the last time I see Charles Xavier. Oh, not Charles Xavier. Last time I see Ian McKellen as Magneto. I love time travel stuff, so that's right up my alley. Then I get First Class because that is a great movie. Then I got Original X-Men. I hate to put it so low because it did really define what a comic book movie should be, right? Blade made it clear that comic book movies could make money. X-Men defined what a comic book movie should be. And I wish I could place it higher. But what I learned while making this list is there are just a lot of good movies on this list.
Yeah.
Like, I think there are way more hits than misses. So X-Men at 8, still a fantastic movie. Then I got the Wolverine. Now we start getting into murky territories for me. Wolverine is not a bad movie. It's just not exciting. I don't love it. I know you really love it, or you really like it.
Yeah.
For me, I kind of almost, even as putting this list, I almost forgot to put it on the list because I always just forget about it. There's good stuff there. I'm just not excited about it. Now here's where I'm going to get pissed people off. I got Apocalypse, Age of Apocalypse. I wasn't on the episode. It was one of 3 episodes I wasn't on in the Grannies. I actually really do enjoy Age of Apocalypse. I admit it's not good. I admit he looks like garbage. I admit some of the characters are treated terribly. But I really like the Magneto stuff, and that enough for me. That alone is enough for me. So I put Apocalypse. Then I got this movie, New Mutants. It's not bad. I was kind of defending it. I think I liked it more than I thought I did. But again, I don't know these characters, so it couldn't possibly beat any movie that I enjoyed that I knew the characters, just because I don't know these characters very well. All right, now we got the shit. Now I got Wolverine Origins. If I could just rate the first 20 minutes of that movie, it would be higher, which I talked about on the show, but I can't, and it's a shitty movie. And then I got X3. X3 is garbage. I hate X3. I hate what they do to Magneto. I hate the Juggernaut bitch. I hate the fact that they shortchanged the Morlocks. I want more Morlocks in my fucking X-Men movies, and they shortchanged them. X3 should be X3 concept of a fucking movie. Because it's concepts, but no follow through.
That is slowly becoming one of our damning things to describe a movie.
It is. It's really
almost replacing "fuck you" movie in a weird way.
It is. No, actually, you're right. You're right. It's not "fuck you." Look, we've grown as podcasters, as people. We've grown. We don't say "fuck you" movie. We say there are concepts of a movie. Yeah. And then in the last place is Dark Phoenix, because no matter what mental gymnastics you do, that movie sucks shit. All right, I'd fucking watch any movie above this 3 times in a row before I watch that movie again. Though if I was watching Wolverine Origins, I'd probably sleep after the first 20 minutes. But that's my rankings.
All right, that's a solid list. Again, it's your likings, it's your list. There's no right or wrong answers here.
No, there isn't. Just again, it's not best movie. It's movies you enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. Or whatever combination, whatever equation you want to put to make your list. All right. It makes me wonder what the hell Rick's list would have been.
Rick's would start Dark Phoenix number 1, X3 number 2, and then
X-Men reverse.
No, and then X-Men number 3, because you think it would be in reverse, but Rick, you can't predict Rick. He's a Beyonder. He's going to throw something good in there, but you wouldn't guess it. You'd say X2 or Deadpool. No. He'd throw X-Men in there because it's like the silent sleeper, That would be Rick's list.
So dramatic. All right. I'm going to throw my list on the bottom here, and I will explain them away too. All right. And by the way, slightly altered since we were texting earlier. So at number 1,
nice.
I have Logan. All right. As much as I admit it's not like the funnest movie, but damn, it's fucking good. And it's emotional.
It's a great movie.
And it's, you can't go wrong. All right, with that one at number 1. Number 2, I have Deadpool because, I also have like a little history with that movie, and it's so fucking cool. And then we got to see Ryan Reynolds as a proper Deadpool, knock it out of the park. It's got everything. I got like no dings on that movie whatsoever. Either one of them, Logan or Deadpool, like they're a 0. Same thing with number 3, with X2 X-Men United. And I don't disagree with you at all. Out of the X-Men movies, because the 2 ahead of it are X-Men movies, but like X-Men proper movies, X2 X-Men United is the champ. I mean, that's it. It still stands on its own. Yeah, it's there. There's no question about it. At number 4, now 4 and 5, I kind of feel like is really a tie, but I'll explain it a little bit. X-Men Days of Future Past is what I have at number 4. They flip-flop with X-Men First Class. Because the more I thought about it.
All right. You flip-flop with me because originally, I'm sorry, I want to tell everyone, originally when we talked about this, Ed had First Class and Days of Futures Past flipped.
Now, I will say, Days of Future Past, my slight dings on it are just detail things, like the ending with Mystique taking away Logan. It irks me, and the whole thing with the Sentinels, should be Rogue, not really, Mystique's power or something like that. Like, those are my only slight critiques. Otherwise, that movie's fucking awesome. I have a blast watching it. It's exciting. It is really fucking good. So I will say that. I love everything about it. Okay. And number 5, I have X-Men First Class. I have a soft spot for X-Men First Class. I fully admit it. It's an awesome movie. I love Kevin Bacon as Sebastian Shaw.
Yes.
He is so good as Sebastian Shaw. And I just also kind of really applaud the fact that we get a Hugh Jackman Logan cameo, basically telling them to go fuck off. And that's it. Like the movie, they had the balls to make an X-Men movie really without Logan, or Cyclops or anything like that's their balls. And I remember seeing this with zero expectations. And I've always said when I go see a movie in the theater and it blows away my expectations, like Batman Begins did, even though I had expectations then, that still blew them away because I came into that movie loving Christian Bale and seeing him as Batman. I'm like, come on, those are my expectations, and Liam Neeson, of course. But like, it still exceeded them. So First Class, I remember seeing it at a midnight showing because that's what was going down still at that time, and I was so pleasantly surprised with that movie. And it's also our introduction to James McAvoy as Charles Xavier, Michael Fassbender as Magneto, and also that scene with Magneto in the bar. Oh my!
No, it's the best scene.
God.
Best scene of the fucking movie. Possibly the best scene. One of the best. Definitely contender for best scene of the franchise.
Yes, I would 100% co-sign on that. It is so bad. Magneto is fucking awesome in that movie.
Yeah,
absolutely awesome. So, and we also get a good Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique.
Yep.
Right. We also get that. So that's where I got First Class. At number 6, I have the OG X-Men. And I agree with you. It is the trendsetter. It is one of those movies that we talked about that's like in the genre, is like a hallmark movie there. It's like a game changer. And I do wish it could have been on it. But guess what? This movie existed in 5 other films, in my opinion, built upon that. So that's what it is. So number 7 is where I have Deadpool 2. And again, it's not knocking it. I don't dislike the movie. Again, I just don't love it as much as others do.
That's fair.
And it's not a dislike because I'm still not at my dislike portion of this list at all. So I enjoyed Deadpool. So I admitted last week, it was a couple weeks ago. It was a lot of fun still. Don't love the kid that's in it too much, but love Juggernaut's in it. I love Cable that's in it. We got Domino. There's a lot of fun shit.
Fuck! I can't believe I didn't talk about Domino. I love Domino so much.
Yeah, so we got a lot of cool shit in there. So yeah, I will admit that. And again, and maybe in other lists it wouldn't be. It would be higher, but that's where I got it. At number 8, I have the Wolverine. And yes, I enjoy that movie. I enjoyed that movie more than you did. My issue with it is really, honestly, my only issue is the third act when Silver Samurai becomes involved and it gets kind of goofy. But like 80% of that movie, I'm fully on board. I loved the Japanese, taking Logan to Japan and doing that whole thing, and the shit that he's dealing with in that movie. I enjoyed it a lot. So I still rock with that one. At number 9, I have the New Mutants, the movie we reviewed tonight.
Yeah.
Don't hate it. Don't love it. Give it props for what it swung for. I just wish it would have took a bigger swing. It was like you had a great idea, but you needed. Listen, I think with proper execution, the New Mutants could be notches up on this list if it was properly executed.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. The ingredients were there.
Mm-hmm.
The recipe wasn't.
It was just undercooked.
If that makes sense.
Undercooked.
Yeah, undercooked. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that metaphor. Undercooked.
And now this is where I dive into the shit.
I know, yeah. I know.
Let's get dirty.
I'm gonna before you say this, I'm gonna admit I know Apocalypse isn't a good movie. All right, I know it. I know. I get it. Go ahead, rip it apart.
I ripped this. Me and Rick destroyed this movie on our interview on our episode. We
wish I was
ripped it
there.
to absolute shreds. Okay.
I could have convinced Rick otherwise. Not you, but Rick. I could have convinced otherwise.
Well, it's funny because if you watch that episode, Rick starts off positive, and then very shortly he starts diving into. I think starts diving into the like attack mode. Right? We got Berserker Rage in this one. There's a lot of dumb shit that was in this movie. I
agree.
I fucking hate what they did with Magneto in this movie. And Michael Fassbender himself has even said he hates it because when he asked about his role in this, he's like, I don't know what was going on. I was just screaming a lot and yelling, and I was angry for something. I don't quite know what it was. It was just there. I hate the fact that they dropped the ball at Apocalypse. And as far as the X-Men go, the damnedest thing that me and Rick had coined on that episode was, this is like a cover band doing a shitty job playing the greatest hits of the X-Men. That is a good way to. I think that's a perfect way to put it.
Nothing you said is wrong.
It's the X-Men cover band playing its greatest hits in a shitty way.
The only thing I would say about what you said, the only thing I would partially disagree with, I think the fact that Magneto joins Apocalypse is good. And I'm sorry, I'm only speaking about this because I wasn't on the episode.
No, it's fine.
The fact that Magneto joins Apocalypse is garbage. He never would. That's not what Magneto is about. Completely flies in the face of his character. I agree with that. Mm-hmm. I did like the beginning with Magneto, like, I got a family, I got a kid, I saved someone, and now you're turning on me? Fuck you guys. Like,
I'm with you
like
there.
that a lot.
It's what happens after that.
Right. At least
the results of that.
Fair enough. As long as we agree on that, I'm good, Your Honor.
It starts off promising, and then whatever the hell that was happens, and Storm with him, like, I don't know. It just, there was a lot of crap that I really didn't like with that movie. And Psylocke.
Doesn't Apocalypse watch like 8 hours of TV to get understand all the human history?
Yes, exactly. He watches TV briefly and like, he touches the screen. I think I may have done it during an episode. I touched the screen and I just knew everything suddenly. It was absurd.
Yeah, stupid shit movie. Stupid shit movie.
So fucking stupid. It's incredibly stupid, that movie. It's astonishingly stupid. Speaking of astonishingly stupid, is at number 11. I have X-Men: The Last Stand. That's when we get, like you mentioned, we get Juggernaut bitch. We get Scott Summers getting killed off in a really stupid way so he can go film Superman Returns. We get Brett Ratner taking over just for the shits and giggles. We get
never a good sign.
Yeah. We get a lot of crappy stuff in this movie, and you took one of the X-Men's greatest arcs, and you just completely took it. You rushed to get there, and as we've learned, when you rush to get things in these franchises, it never works out.
Yeah.
So we got that. Then at number 12, we got X-Men Origins Wolverine, which 100% you nailed it. After the first 20 minutes, garbage. Total garbage. Yeah. We do get both of our favorite Sabretooth, though.
Yes.
In this movie. So I will say that's a redeeming factor.
That's why it's a bit higher on my list, because Liev Schreiber as Sabretooth is fantastic. Like, he steals the show. And I just, God, I wish there was more of that. I wish the movie was better. Like, I wish the movie would elevate itself to as good as Liev Schreiber is.
Yeah, we get a shitty Gambit, which thank you, Channing Tatum, for saving that character, redeeming
that was nice.
The character of Gambit in Deadpool and Wolverine. Thank you for that. We get a shitty version of the Blob in this. We get Will.i.am in this for some
would you call me?
reason.
Would you call me? Did you call me the Blob? Oh, we're gonna fight now. You call me the Blob, Ed? All right, we're gonna fight.
It's so bad. It is just so much bullshit. The CGI Charles Xavier at the end, the shit they do with Deadpool with the sewing in the mouth, the weird Cyclops thing, the weird Emma Frost thing. Like, this movie is just garbage. It is absolutely.
How do you make a movie?
Garbage.
How do you make a movie to express the fact that you've never read an X-Men comic.
Cool.
It's called Wolverine Origins. That's how you do that. To prove you've never read an X-Men comic, you make this movie.
It's so bad. And at number 13, the fact that a film exists below X-Men Origins Wolverine, and it was the last X-Men proper movie to be released and made, it hurts. It's X-Men Dark Phoenix. Even though they wanted to be all badass and rated R and be Dark Phoenix, and they didn't even want to call it X-Men Dark Phoenix when it was released. Until later on, they were like, nobody gives a shit about a title of Dark Phoenix. We're going to retitle it X-Men Dark Phoenix, just to let people know, hey, it's an X-Men movie, so somebody has to watch this thing. That movie is incompetent. To the Cyclops saying, fuck you, or I'll fucking kill you, to friggin' Magneto. There's just so much nonsense in that movie. It's more nonsense than in X-Men Origins Wolverine. That's a big statement. It's a huge statement.
I agree. I agree with that. This is nonsense, the movie.
Yeah, like the way that Charles Xavier is treated in this movie is also asinine. You get the terrible performance from Jennifer Lawrence just trying to get out of this movie as fast as humanly possible. Quicksilver also in this, like, gets sidelined in this movie for some stupid reason, even though he was like one of the best things you had going with this new cast. Stupid decisions all around. And yeah, the whole Skrulls thing, not Skrulls, just shit show. Total shit show. So
terrible movie.
Yeah. So that's my list of the 13 Fox era X-Men movies. As we say goodbye to them, for good, we've done it. We've completed. We have put another franchise to bed here.
Right. I'm going to ask you this question.
Sure.
Do you think this was? I'm gonna steal something from Deep Dive. Was this like this whole overall experience? Was this like I got positive mutant powers and I've joined either the X-Men or the Brotherhood, or do you think this whole run was so bad, like you would say, no, you're a Morlock?
I'm gonna say it was positive.
All right, good.
I'm gonna say it was positive because I think. At worst, I like 8 of these 13 movies. Right?
Yeah.
At best,
I agree.
I like 9 of them. Because
same.
The other 10, 11, 12, 13, there's 4 movies on this list that are just total trash. 4 out of 13 being trash, not so bad.
Can we say that there are 3 that are total trash and 1 that's debatable, but I wasn't there to make that debate?
I can't help you with that one. I'm sorry. I can't. I can't do that. No.
You can't even acquiesce to that shit.
I can't. I'm sorry. Jason, if you get a second, rewatch that episode when me and Rick talked about X-Men Apocalypse. You can see the anger coming through the screen. I have no question about it.
All right, I'll have to rewatch that. I'll have to rewatch. I'm just
so bad. It is fucking nonsense. So 4 of these movies are total nonsense that I will probably never watch again. I have no reason to watch 4 of these movies again. I mean, the New Mutants, I probably wouldn't watch. That's the one that's the dividing one. That's the dividing one where I'm like,
Same.
Okay.
Same. Like, to be honest with you, I would watch every one of these movies again. I'd even watch Apocalypse again. I don't hate it.
I know you would.
Not good. I know it's not good, but I don't hate it. I could see myself watching the New Mutants again. Not anytime soon.
Yeah.
I didn't like it that much, but like, I don't know, like 10 years from now, I'm thinking like maybe I haven't watched certain X-Men shit, and I'm thinking like, oh, I don't know, or maybe I'm doing a deep dive into the Fox universe with Finn, and I got to get through this, and I'm like, all right, buddy, well, we're gonna go up to the New Mutants, and then nothing else. And he's like, was there an X-Men origin movie? No, my child, there wasn't. What about an X3 movie? No, that didn't exist, my child. What about Dark Phoenix? I'm sorry, you're not my son if you keep insisting on this.
See, when you said my child there, you sounded like Apocalypse now.
I know. I was going for that. Thank you. I was going for that.
Don't
But
do that.
but I will have him watch the Apocalypse one, so he too can tell me how shitty it is, and I can tell him no, it's not that bad.
Listen, he might leave. He might just be like, listen, it's I got to take a walk.
Well, I thought he might do that, right? Like, oh, Dad, this is great, but I got that thing. I got to use the bathroom. Keep playing it. But you're walking out the front door. I'll be back. Just keep watching that movie.
Depending on the age you catch him at with this, he might really take a walk and be like, listen, I'm going to go to the bar or something, dude. I got to go, man.
No, I gotta start this early. I gotta start this at least in the preteen years.
I was to say you got some time, but yeah, don't wait too long if that's your plan. just don't. Yeah, and again, the Deadpool Wolverine does a nice job of putting a nice bow on it to put it officially to rest. So I think they do a cool job with that.
Where would you put and we didn't discuss this, but I'm just curious, like, where would you put Deadpool and Wolverine in this list? Like, would you put it at the top? Would you put it in the middle? I mean, it's certainly not at the bottom. That's stupid. But like, where would you put it?
Probably, I would say around maybe between Days of Future Past and First Class, or around that area, 4, 5, 6 area ish.
That's fucking crazy. That's crazy, dude. Because I actually made my list thinking we before I texted you, thinking we had Deadpool 3 in. And it literally is in that area for me. It's Days of Future Past, First Class, and Deadpool 3.
Yeah, I think because I think we're being fair. Like, it just I don't want to go recency bias on it because we easily could. Right? Like that movie's I've had a blast with it. I actually have not watched it. I haven't watched it since I've owned it, but I'm probably going. I planned on it soon. But yeah, it would land in that area because I mean, Logan, the original Deadpool. I've even said in our rankings, I had it Deadpool, Wolverine, and then Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
But I could see it being fluid there, and yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's probably around there. I would say to be fair.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. I was just curious because again, I made my list thinking we were including it, and then I took it off, and I'm like, I still don't know where mine is. I'm curious where yours is.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel comfortable with that. Yeah, I think that's where that would be. All right, crazy stuff. We've wrapped that up. Yes, we will see you again, Charles. We will see you again.
Give it to you. Go give it. What's this?
Oh, this is a notepad that came with it. It's the
nice
Charles Xavier School for the Young. It's just a notebook that I got in like a pop box. All right. Well, then that wraps it up for us this week. And thank you as always for checking us out here. If you have checked us out on Facebook, be sure to check out the Granny's Peach Cheese Facebook group where we share a lot of cool articles and stories that don't make the show, and you can go and check those out. It's a lot of fun. Check out popculturepros.com because that's where we are presented by, popculturepros.com, and that Facebook group as well. And if you're checking us out on YouTube, subscribe to popculturepros.com. Check out all the other fun stuff on the network, and wherever you found your audio-only podcast, you can check that out. If you're into Nightmare on Elm Street and into horror movies, we've referenced a bunch. Go PCP Deep Dive. We have a brand new episode that we dropped on Sunday night. We were up to Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. And if you're checking us out on YouTube or on the Facebook page, I have pinned in that Facebook group, I have pinned all our episodes up to the top. So you can actually go easily watch them there. Yeah, so
awesome.
The 6 are out. Jason, we're off this Sunday.
Yeah, we're off this Sunday. We'll be back the Sunday after. We're going to be looking at Wes Craven's A New Nightmare, which this is, again, now we're in the territory where I have history with these things. So I'm very excited to talk about that. I know, Ed, I know you're excited about that. It's one of those movies that some people love it, some people hate it. So I don't know where Ginny's going to be. So tune in to find out what Ginny's going to think about this, because she could love it, she could hate it. We don't know.
Yeah, it's true. It is a bit of an erratic thing. I don't think she's heeded any of this first 6.
No, I don't think she has. I think it's levels of like, I think, with Ginny.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like I've had my dislike for a couple of them too, and I have an affinity for the franchise. I feel like me and Ginny both have an affinity for the franchise.
Oh, absolutely. You guys are true believers.
Yeah, like we love that franchise. I will fully admit, though, it's a coin flip, 50-50, and quality versus what I love out of the first 6.
Oh, for sure.
I will be honest, completely honest about it. That's what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anyone is curious to find out the breakdown of that, go back and listen to our previous episodes for the first 6 Freddy movies.
Yeah, it's a blast. Jason and I will be back with Granny's Peach Tea next week. We will be talking about the series finale, Arrowverse finale of Superman and Lois. As that wraps up, we will be ranking the Arrowverse shows, since we covered all of them on here. Actually, I think Arrow was the only one we didn't cover.
Yeah, because Arrow was gone.
Arrow was over already by the time we started. Yeah. So we will rank those shows, and we will be going back to finish. We had some more unfinished business.
We do. We have some unfinished business. I think we have to get a bunch of crows together and murder something.
Skull murder. We'll be talking about The Crow Salvation. Starring Kirsten Dunst, by the way.
What?
Yes. Direct-to-video movie, right. Kirsten Dunst.
God damn. All right. I can't believe it. And you know whose fault this is? This is my fault. Yeah. I take full responsibility for this. I said we would do this, and I hate myself right now, but I'm going to do it. Kirsten Dunst will get me through this.
We got 2 more to go, man. We got that and Wicked Prayer. Come on, Wicked Prayer is starring Edward Furlong.
Oh, God. Man, God, like the worst actor in the world.
Look at
the only reason.
Look at the supporting cast characters in that movie.
What's that?
No, the actual supporting cast in Wicked Prayer that's starring Edward Furlong, they're all more talented than him.
I mean,
Danny Trejo is in that movie.
Oh, I was going to say this Rock is more talented than him, but no, Danny Trejo is actually legitimately talented. So,
he's awesome. All
right, I got something to look forward to. Are you talking to moi?
Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. All right, we will see you guys next week. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Enjoy your turkey and football day or whatever else that you're doing. Watch Spider-Man. It's a Thanksgiving movie, whatever. Sure, why not? Just don't go beat an old lady over the head, okay? For anything. Just leave that part. Later.